Good evening.
Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Elizabeth and Jeff Vaudrey, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines. And thank you for joining us on this week's virtual wine tasting. This week, we're going to be tasting an Italian white. I did change it up on you versus what I said last week. I called an audible. I had the opportunity. This wine had been out of stock for a while, and I wanted to jump on it while I could get enough of it for all of us to taste it. It's kind of a really interesting and unique wine, and we'll talk about why that is as we go. It's from the northeast of Italy, right as it moves into the Alps. And I see that you have Linda and Paul are on top of things. It is from the Veneto region of Italy. Within Veneto, the subregion is Soave, and it's a great combination. What I like about Soave in general, even beyond the specifics of this wine, is that Italian wines are really acidic and zingy and fresh, which is a great thing. But a lot of them can be lighter on the body, which isn't for everybody. When you get to some of the some Pinot Grigio and that kind of a thing. But the Soave, which is the Garganega grape, has a richness to it that I think even unoaked Chardonnay drinkers, Viognier drinkers can actually get into. So I think this is a really a friendly wine with excellent character, and also, hint, really good for pairing Thanksgiving dinner with, because it is so flexible. So if you have not already, let's go ahead and pour our glasses. There you go.
Thank you.
I like this. My white wines chill down to around 45 degrees. So a good hour in the refrigerator will get you where you need to be. And if you went longer, fine. It will warm up. It'll be just fine. And you'll experience more as we go. Let's jump to the slides real quick, please.
Okay.
We'll talk about pairings and such. So here we are. So the Pasqua, Bianco, Soave, 91 points, James Suckling. Pairing suggestions: whitefish, shellfish, roasted chicken, and tofu, which I think is kind of a fun pairing idea.
That's
let's
nice.
go.
I like that.
Right, thanks. Let's,
I like the label too.
there's a story about the label.
Okay.
I'll get into that too.
Okay.
When we get into the winemakers, I think I'll cover
Okay.
the label then. So
You want me to go back?
yeah, let's go ahead and jump back.
Okay.
So like I said, on the richer side for Italian, but still fresh with really nice acidity. 100% Garganega grapes here, about 13% alcohol. So, you know, for a white wine, a little beefy. And for this wine, one of the things I like about it is, for a white wine, it's really kind of big all over. It's got a nice richness. Common characteristics would be a richer citrus fruit, where a lot of the really lean, zingy Italian whites can be more straight lemon.
Okay.
You know, like about this is, I say it's more of a tangerine citrus quality, and it's paired with stone fruit. So you've got like a peachy, apricot-y thing going on there.
Definitely. See, I would have said grapefruit rather than tangerine.
Like a pink grapefruit, not a white.
Not a white, a pink.
Yeah, like a nice,
Or
richer.
like a red.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see grapefruit.
Yeah, and that's a good call. I like that.
Yeah, I get the ruby. I get the ruby red too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I defer to you guys. I like that call. I do.
I'll be running the wine tasting next week for people that have like
Right.
regular palates.
But and I like that it remains very fresh. Now, one of the things that helps this this region is known for the kind of nice, dry, acidic, and mineral-driven wines. This one does turn it on its head a little bit, in that on the label here it says, you know, Passione and then Mento. But if you put this together, you've got Passimento. So what they do with these grapes that makes this really individually a distinct wine and distinct even within Soave is they actually raisinate these grapes. So this is the Appassimento method, is the Italian word for, they give it 2 weeks of drying, which intensifies the juice in those grapes. And then it comes through with kind of a larger, rounder, heavier fruit character in your wine. Now, that style of winemaking is actually normally attributed to Amarone wine from Valpolicella, which is right next door. So they kind of picked up on that. We'll talk about that when we go through it. So, but first we'll talk a little bit more about, but it mattered to talk about the Appassimento method, which is one of the reasons we're getting so much fruit richness in here. But anyone else want to comment on just the general impressions to start with before I go into the region and everything? Good, let's go to the maps.
I really like that it's white that doesn't feel thin. Yeah, that's that nice Soave heavier body, but also the Appassimento method adding in there. And I agree. That's why, because Chardonnay is traditionally, it's one of the, for people that like heartier whites, Chardonnay is where people tend to go traditionally. Not that it all has to be produced that way, but it often is. Viognier, lesser known, we should drink a Viognier sometime, has that weight as well. But is more floral based on the aromas than Chardonnay is. And then of course, Chardonnay, whether or not you were going to oak it or not oak it, would be extremely different in how it presents. So this guy, not coming through with an oaky quality, but has that nice big richness and a nice fruitiness while still being balanced with kind of a nice spicy quality. It's a nice, it's not just acidic freshness, though the minerality is going to come through generally with acidity in this case, because you've raisinated those grapes. I'm kind of giving away one of the questions I was going to ask later, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll see if they were paying attention. It's what I do with my kids too. Like I just said this 5 minutes ago. If anyone was listening.
Okay.
Do you want me to share?
Please do.
Okay.
Okay, so
the next one?
Yep, next slide. So here we are in Italia. So you can see Italy is just absolutely covered with grape growing regions. There are over 300 in the end. We are this week drinking up here in the Northeast, the Veneto region specifically. And then, by the way, so here we are with Veneto, with this Soave. Right here, this is where they're growing a lot, not only, but much of the Pinot Grigio comes from right here.
Oh.
So this is a big white wine area for Italy. And here's the, I love this kind of topographical map for where we're talking as we go in. So here, like here's the inset. So that's where we are in Italy. This is the Soave region is right here, which we'll go into closer, but you can see it's going right up into as we get into the Alps right there. The wines growing down here have a lot more of that kind of a saline quality. It's that more of that, lemon zing with a, the minerality comes through as a bit of a saltiness.
So close to the water there.
And here we get a different quality, which I think is fun. So, and then zooming in, once again, here's Soave specifically. And it's right next to Valpolicella, where they make Amarone. So that's where the whole concept of drying the grapes really is mostly done. But once again, in that case, they're using red wines for that. And I tell you, Amarone, I have a soft spot. People ask me, what is your favorite wine in the world? And honestly, between Napa Valley Cab, which, why wouldn't you love it? It's amazing. But tied for me, Amarone. I love Amarone. We could taste it sometime. Everyone's going to have to buckle up for that one a little bit because Amarones start at $60 and go up from there. But that would be the one thing. So so here we are. The Veneto region, and especially specifically the Soave wine growing region, is right around the city of Verona. And this is a good, and you can see where, like, here it is moving up into the Andes. You can, excuse me, into the Alps. I'm jumping over to South America.
It's like, wait.
It's a very large growing region.
Yeah,
it goes all the way
to another continent.
right. But here you see the, here are the vineyards. There's some right there. And as they move up into the Alps there. So I'm going to jump back real quick. We're going to talk about this label. So I mentioned Verona. Verona is the, it's not been completely proven, but the theory is that the balcony that inspired Shakespeare to write the Romeo and Juliet scene where he's speaking up to her is in Verona. And so underneath that balcony, now people very romantically spray paint the wall. I think I can't think of a better way to do it than to spray paint the wall for love, but it is what it is. So this is stylized based on that spray painted wall.
Huh. That's very cool.
So this is part of their Romeo and Juliet line,
Homage.
which yeah. And so there's the white and there's a red. And the red, they both utilize the Appassimento method, even though they're outside of the Valpolicella region. So there's the story about the. They have a wonderful rosé too, and that has a portrait of Juliet.
Oh wow!
And you can see through it. Anyway, it's delicious. Better part, it's actually delicious. But if I carry it,
rosé in stock.
Yes, it is. Yep, it's called the 11-minute rosé, which is named for the amount of time that it stays on the skins in order to get just the right amount of extraction. So the Pasqua family, and it is the Pasqua, this is family owned. The Pasqua family says 11 minutes is ideal. We're naming the rosé what it should be. Like, okay, guys, you do it. And it is. It's before bringing in the Bianco here, it's what I've sold the most from them because it really is a delight. It's really good. All right, so this is one of their vineyards. So you can see it's just you can see the elevation as it comes up in there, and then here's the vineyard. So this is one of the Pasqua vineyards, specifically one of their Soave vineyards. So this is where this wine comes from. So they're about 600 meters, about 1,800 feet above sea level. Volcanic soils, and they add distinct minerality. Hey, somebody said that already. So, Soave, the best known grape in Soave is Garganega, which, by the way, for years I mispronounced Garganega. And then I had a wine rep come in and set me straight, and I'm grateful for it because now I'm better. So anyway, so the Garganega grape is by far the dominant white grape grown in Soave. They also grow what's called Trebbiano di Soave, which is just it's an alternative version, slightly different version of Soave. And then Chardonnay has taken up root there, which it's interesting because I talked about the similar qualities they share. Right. They're making blends with it. And so the Bordeaux grapes are really making a lot of strides in becoming not just grown in Italy, but being accepted into the official requirements to be labeled as a quality wine. So this is a DOC quality level Soave. So that means Denominazione di Origine Controllata. All right, so a controlled area. Okay. And it controls two things. One is the specific region, so you're going to get certain terroir control, so the earthiness and everything will have a similarity. And then also they control which grapes you can grow. And those three that I mentioned are the only three that you can put into your wine and get a designation of a DOC. Now it's not
that's specific to Italy, that DOC designation?
Yes, it is. That's one of Italy's. This is the second highest level quality designation. The only other one is for really old winemakers that have made amazing wines for years. There is DOCG. The last word there means guaranteed quality. So they don't throw that one around easily at all.
Sure.
But
you're talking like generations of
of incredible winemaking.
So is Italy as regulated as France?
Close, but no.
Okay.
So in France, for example.
Do you want me to flip out? Or?
Sure, why not?
Okay. There we go.
So you can grow other grapes in this area.
You can grow whatever you want. You can go there and grow some Tannat or some Viognier. Actually, I think Viognier would probably do really well there.
I'm going to make some blueberry wine right there.
Well, you could do that. They will not let you call it DOC though.
Okay.
So they'll say, hey, nope, you don't meet the requirements. You are just an Italian table wine.
Okay.
And so
In France, you can't grow it.
Oh, they have literally like if
they'll come and burn it to the ground.
They're like, yep, no.
Okay.
Put that thing back where it came from or so help me. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, that's
yeah.
So if they have, I'm assuming like I know we're talking about Italy, but in France, they go around and check.
No, not really.
No?
I mean, they would only find out if you were trying to sell it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really coming to check. But, you know, if you have a family vineyard and you're making some, I don't know, Pinot Grigio, you know, in the middle of France, and you're just, if you're just making it for your family, maybe selling it locally only, I don't think they're beating down your door for that.
Okay. So, and in Italy, like I know that a lot of times you have the same exact grape, but it's in a different place. And so they call it a different name.
So true.
Okay. So Chardonnay, are they calling it Chardonnay?
They're calling it Chardonnay. Oh, okay. Hooray. Yes.
Right.
We're not dealing with like the Australians, right?
Right.
Calling Mataro, which is Mourvedre. You know, it's like, oh, come on, guys. You know, give us a chance here as wine drinkers.
Exactly. I feel like you have to, like, have that sommelier in order to understand, like, yeah, because you'll say to me, "This is the same grape. It has a different name. Why is it the same grape? Why did they name it something different?"
I don't know. Just they do.
It's purposefully to be exclusive so that you can feel, oh, I need to, know all this stuff before I can.
Part of it really comes down to when you get a couple of generations of wine of grape farmers, right? So here they are, they've gotten a clone of something, they're growing it. Maybe it's 2, 3, 4 generations in, and they feel like it has altered a little bit because of their work. They want to call it that because they really truly believe, and maybe a lot of times rightly so, that they have altered the way the grape
so genetically
tastes.
It's different,
right?
Somehow.
Right. So so that's why it's kind of like stamping their own name on what they think they have done with the grape.
Okay.
And honestly, I believe that's where it comes from. Like Canary Islands. When we were drinking the Canary Island good, that's a mission grape, which is from Spain. But honestly, it has been a long time since those vines came over to the Canary Islands. I guarantee you, they do not taste the same as the mission grape growing up on the homeland.
That makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
So
do you expect that there would be? How long have these grapes had their names now? Would you expect that there would be now something that suddenly they change the name of because, or do you think it's so established at this point that we're set with what we have?
It's a good question. I'm not quite sure because what's going to play into that is everyone is seeing these names around the world a lot more and getting used to them. So that would slow down the new names, I would think. But they are also, modern winemakers are looking at the changing environment, the changing climates in the world. And not only are they basically moving the type of grapevine that they're planting in order to plan for the future, they're actually working on new crossbreeds, and they're working on taking some very obscure grapes and seeing how they behave and working with them for the future. So we will see new names, whether it's a crossbreed new creation or something that is currently really obscure that we don't know about, that, this is a thing now.
That's interesting.
That is the prediction I've been reading.
Climate change is going to cause the evolution of wine beyond just where the regions are growing it, but truly an evolution.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, well, that's one of the things I at some point we need to drink, and I think Jerry will be all over us for this. He'll be happy, is German Pinot Noir. because it's in its infancy and it's going to be a big thing. It is.
Cool.
So,
So
all
I'm
right.
gonna flip back over.
Yes, please.
Sorry, I took us on a tangent.
That's right. That was really cool.
All right, this.
Let's go to the next one. Okay. Well, go back.
Okay.
I changed my mind.
There we go.
Okay, so where are we? Volcanic soils, high elevation. Interesting thing with this area is there's a river valley nearby, and with the winds at play, they get a lot of misting throughout the year. So this is a more moist area than we actually often see. I mean, remember the Spanish area? I mean, my goodness, and well, let alone New Mexico. We were just there. So this is one of the areas that is almost too wet, except for the elevation. And one of the reasons they do plant Garganega is that it's a thicker skin, so it is less susceptible to mold. It can handle it better. So this is relatively, though, a moist area for wine growing. Let's go ahead and go to the next one now, please. Oh, other way. Thank you. All right, so here we have the Pasqua Winery and Tasting Room. This is the winery and tasting room. They began making wine in 1925. What is interesting about that is they were in Veneto in 1925, and Veneto and Soave were not officially established as a DOC until 1931. So they were there before it was actually established with restrictions on what they actually could do and that kind of a thing. Which I guess they were making the right stuff already. They were probably on the right side of the law, so it all worked out for them. They are now in their third generation. Let's go ahead and slide forward. So this is their tasting room, which looks quite lovely to me. And third generation now running the company, still family owned and controlled. They obviously brought in a lot of help since then. And then they have on their website, they have two of the generations still represented. So here we have Riccardo, Umberto, and Alessandro. I want an Italian name. Those names are awesome.
Right?
And Pasqua, which does mean peace. Yep. Which I believe is the exact same word they use for Easter. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm right, though.
I don't know.
Anyway. Let's jump back.
I was going to say, yes, we use that in Spanish for Easter, Pasqua.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, and it's Italian and Spanish are so similar.
So similar.
Yes, yes.
When my mother travels, like she can understand almost everything in Italy. But yeah, she said Portuguese is harder. So, but she said Italian's almost the same. And I have to say, she said, because I don't know enough Spanish to be able to do any of that.
Well, all right. So there's our tour into Soave. It is one of my favorite regions, and it is other than Pinot Grigio, because Pinot Grigio is its thing in the world. This is the white from Italy that I sell the most of, and I think for a really good reason. I love this stuff. I think it's delicious.
Other comments, questions?
All right. So
it was a great pivot to this wine, and shut up, you have a French name.
Okay, wait, you cut out a little bit for us. Say it again, David.
It was a great pivot to this wine, and shut up, you have a French name. You can't go back.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. We'll get to that Chardonnay that I talked about last week. It's absolutely delicious. It actually didn't come in. They told me I could have it because they have it on lockout because it had really good ratings and everyone wanted it. They told me I could have it, and then they didn't send it. So anyway, I'm just going to have a discussion with my rep. But honestly, I would have swapped it for this anyway, just because I think it's just such a fun wine. I love the fact that it's a white wine that has had that Appassimento method done to it. But you can see it doesn't become just a fruity bomb. It is. So you can imagine without that going on, how lean and crisp this guy could be, which is, kind of my word, quintessentially Italian when it comes to white. But this guy, and there's another one called a Grecante that are the rich version of Italian whites. And I think they're really great for multiple pairings. So once again, if you're going to grab a white for Thanksgiving, I think this is a fantastic option. It could go with all kinds of things. I mean, it can because it's rich enough to go with ham.
So you just said if you're going to grab a white for Thanksgiving, wouldn't Thanksgiving normally be white because you've got turkey, so it's poultry?
Well, not exclusively. You could also consider.
Or did I lead you into the next
Oh,
slide?
you did. The
I
other
do not see
option,
these
which is
ahead of
very
time.
common, is Beaujolais. So this I have here, the Jean-Marc Boucard Morgon Beaujolais. So Beaujolais is Gamay. It is a very light-bodied, but great character, lots of spice and minerality in it. Red from the very southern tip of Burgundy.
Okay.
So everything above it has to be Pinot Noir if it's red, but down at the bottom, they allow them to produce Gamay. It is a great Thanksgiving red. So one of our questions was, because next week is Thanksgiving.
You're going to stop the share? Okay.
Yeah. Next week is Thanksgiving. I know everyone's going to be busy. Shall we meet or shall we wait until after Thanksgiving week? And I thought we were back and forth on it so much that in the end we decided, you know what, we're going to have most of the crew that's here all the time. Let's see if you guys want to, and then we can make it happen. Or if you guys say, you know what, let's meet afterward, then it's there. All right. So Linda and Paul say yes for next Tuesday.
And the Giles
We're down.
Spider say yes. Okay, Brenda says yes.
Because
Okay,
if we
Pasqua.
buy it,
Okay.
What'd you say, Kiwi?
if we buy it ahead of time, we can do it wherever we are. That'd be cooler.
Okay.
True.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well,
Okay, and you look, Jerry used the actual the
I like
virtual
it.
thumbs up. That's
Nice.
awesome.
great.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, I have a really, really good Beaujolais that I wanted to share with you guys anyway. So otherwise, I was just going to say you need to buy this wine. But the Jean-Marc Boucard Morgon is a sub-region within Beaujolais that is my favorite one. So we're talking about a roughly $20 bottle of wine, just pulled in 94 and 93 points, and it does it most years.
I don't think we've tasted a 93 or 90. I think the highest has been 91.
We did a 90. Who had 92 or 3 last week, right?
I thought it was 91.
No, not last week. That was 91. Anyway, or maybe it was just when I was discussing how hard it is to break that 92 point.
Yeah, I don't think we've done a 92.
It is difficult to break that 92 point thing and get up to 93, 94. It's a fantastic Beaujolais. I love this wine. So anyway, I'm excited. Cool. Well, we'll talk about that one next week because I get excited. You can tell I'm excited about the wine. All right, excellent. Well, let's stop recording. We'll do a toast. We'll stop recording and we can keep talking.
Do we have any more comments or questions before we stop the recording for this wine?
Yeah, I got a question. You were talking about the raisioning.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll ask my nerd question. Is there a legal, scientific, established way to do this raisioning, or is it just a drying out of the grape?
It is done differently by winemakers. Good question, Paul, by the way. So some of them will do it where some of them will literally get dehumidifiers, and some of them lay them out in the sun. And then some of them have layers of wicker basket with a fan just blowing the air to recirculate it, which seems to be one of the more common ones there. It's a little bit of old and new.
Sure.
So that's an excellent question. Yeah, that's how it's handled.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was like a regulation on it or something.
There is not. It's that's all about kind of winemaker style.
Yeah. Good question.
I like this one a lot. I think it I don't think it has a lot on the nose, but it's just like really solid overall, you know? Like there's just one of these things that you're like, I don't know. Can't say much negative about this. It's just you know.
It's just a fun, delightful wine that's got this really neat background, and it
Yeah, love the label, love like everything surrounding it, and then it's just like a really nice, solid white wine.
Yeah.
In terms of what you said about Thanksgiving pairings and stuff like that, so we did not realize the wine was switched, so we did bacon scallops for dinner, but it held up really well to that with like a butter sauce, and so it stood up really well to a savory dish, and I think it would do really well with that for a lot of like heavy Thanksgiving things.
Okay, wait, didn't we mention baking scallops last week? And so you guys made, okay, you need to share the recipe because scallops are Jeff's favorite.
We'll go over it in maybe like the after dark. But,
Okay.
Yeah, we
I like it.
but yeah, it really did complement that richness of that recipe. And this is, I think, you talk about like crowd pleasers. I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Like this is like
Right.
totally, I think, something that a lot of people can enjoy and you can have for these like rich dishes that yeah, like, I think a lot of people can buy into.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I agree that with your point, that it would be great with bacon wrapped scallops. It definitely
Now Jeff's
has
like,
the body
why don't
for
we
that.
have
Yeah.
bacon wrapped scallops?
Oh, I want them so much. And you know what? The interesting play on that, though, if
Mhm.
you go to like wine technique, right, where the reason the Chardonnay would work is because of the barrel aging, and the reason this one is going to work is because of the raisinating, the Appassimento, to add that richness to go with the
Sure.
bigger food. So this guy, to me, could easily go with salmon, but it's also got a nice tartness where you could go with grouper.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's like it's a very flexible wine, and which I also appreciate you guys agreeing with me on and mentioning is that it's a very friendly wine and easy for everyone to like.
Yeah.
Which has all these interesting qualities which are fun to talk about, and at the same time it boils down to, but that's delicious.
Yeah.
So my question is, it goes with all these big, bold seafoods and all these other, what makes this a perfect Thanksgiving wine? How does that translate back into the plain old turkey and stuffing and
Savory.
But so it can handle, it's light enough on the white side to handle poultry. So it's not going to overwhelm your turkey, but it's got enough richness to handle stuffing and cranberries, no problem in there. So that's why it kind of runs the gamut there, where it's not going to stomp on anything, and yet it's rich and robust enough to not be destroyed also.
But it wouldn't be something, so just to take it to the extreme, it wouldn't be something that you would have with like a steak.
No, not steak.
Right.
You could do pork.
Okay.
I think you could do pork with
so
it.
you can do some heavier things, but not
Right.
really like things.
No, not
that,
the really heavy
Yeah,
ones.
sure.
Yeah.
Things that really need a full-bodied red to go with it.
Right,
It wouldn't
yeah.
Be,
That would be the thing. Like, I don't know anything other than sparkling wine where you could say, well, it'll just go with anything.
okay. Right.
Yeah.
And is that because it truly goes with anything, or because people just use it? Because we talked about this with sparkling wines before, but use it as celebrations. So they literally put it with everything.
No, it actually really does have qualities that can go with
Okay.
them. I mean, if you go with, say, a really nice sparkling rosé, you've got the bubble. So if you're even eating steak, you've got a nice dryness. The bubbles and the dryness will kind of cleanse the palate, which is the
Okay.
point with bigger red meats. But at the same time, if you're having strawberries and chocolate, it's going to work with that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, the ultimate of I don't know what to pair, get something sparkling.
Okay.
Number one recommendation.
I really like Chardonnays, and I drank them for a long time before I drank Sauvignon Blanc all the time. And that's why David gave that look.
Mhm.
I appreciate that there's not like an apple finish on this. I do not like that apple finish. And I don't love stone fruit like people do, but I feel like this is just much more accessible. This doesn't have something on the edge of it that would catch in the back of your throat or give you, to quote my friend Myra, instant heartburn. I don't know what it is. Is it the raisination? Or is it the grapes specifically that give this a full body, but a nice finish that doesn't catch in the back of your throat? That kind of thing that keeps people from enjoying red wine.
Right.
Keeps so many people away from red wine.
Yeah. It's actually a little of both, but Soave is an excellent one for being a nice rounded big wine, a big white, where it doesn't have that extra dryness that would be a little bit aggressive. It's got character, but it's friendly. You know, it's a to me it's like a warm hug, except you drink it cold. So it's a chilled hug of a wine, which is what I like about the other one, which we'll drink later on, called a Grigante, which has these flavors of kind of like poached pear, but with a nice freshness still, you know. So that's what I do like about them. Other people do really like the really tart, fresh, bitey, astringent kind of whites. But I think that's part of what makes this friendly with character. So, but it does go to the grape. It's enhanced with the raisinating, the Appassimento. All right.
Okay.
Anything else before we toast?
I love you guys.
All right.
Love you too.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Mhm.